Howard, who's calling from New York here. Howard says, or wants to know why some atheists are against the death penalty while we accept evolution. And is that a contradiction? Howard, you're live on Talk Heathen. Is that a fair summation of your question?
Yes. Hi, Dan. Hi, Sydney. Yeah, that's my main question. But very quickly, I wondered if either one of you have an answer to a biology question I have. Let me give you the rundown. My grandmother had my mother. My mother had my sister. My sister had a daughter. Is my grandmother's eggs in my sister's daughter? How many lines of an egg would there be from a grandmother to a granddaughter? Do you understand my question?
How many lines of an egg?
How many lines of DNA or?
Oh.
Pardon?
So are you asking if any of the eggs in your sister would be eggs from your grandmother, or like what percentage?
Yes, or any part of my grandmother's eggs, DNA, or whatever would carry on through generations.
I mean, we can never be specifically. So first of all, there are chimera eggs, right? There are eggs that actually don't even take parts of DNA from like one parent and stuff. And so like the answer is that really depends. Like it depends on people's individual situations. I don't know if biologists can ever say for sure, yeah, you're exactly this percentage of your parents and this percentage of your other parent. I don't know if it really works like that. Also, like DNA does change and stuff over time, right? So like the DNA that you have in your body right now is different from what you may have like 7 years ago. So it's hard to say like what is going to be from your parents and what's going to be from your own. Yeah.
Well, and women are born, if I remember correctly, women are born with the number of eggs they're going to have their entire life. It's not like sperm where they can regenerate. So eggs are brand new. The eggs that a woman has in her body are just her eggs. But in terms of like familial DNA, if you're just splitting it kind of standard wise, like there's no steps or halves or anything in there, I imagine it would be like their DNA would share, I don't know, what is that, like an eighth, a 16th, something like that. But in terms of eggs, that I think the eggs are just brand new. They're just her own.
Yeah, it's
So
I think there's
my grandmother's egg.
Go ahead, Howard. Go ahead.
Inside my grandmother's egg was my mother's egg, and inside my mother's egg was her daughter's egg inside her egg. And does it go?
If you mean the egg that eventually became your mother and the egg that eventually became your sister, then yes.
Oh, yeah, if that's the case, yeah.
So the egg contains the next generation.
Yeah.
In part, yes.
Yeah,
that's how
partially.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that was the connection I was trying to make. Okay, to my question about the death penalty. Most atheists feel that this is it. This is our life now is all we have, and it's precious. Correct? Would you agree most atheists feel that way?
It's hard to say. Atheists are a blend of a lot of different people. We don't subscribe to one particular ideology, but at least, folks, I would say I'm comfortable saying most of the atheists of the Atheist Community of Austin feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone believes this life is all we have, that would make it even more precious, right? That our consciousness ends at death, and that's it. So why would people who've evolved from animals, if you believe in evolution, we are an animal, correct?
Yes.
So why would an animal not eliminate another animal that is taking that precious life away from someone? You know what I mean?
You mean like murderers?
Yeah, anyone who would commit acts against someone else. In a lot of animal societies, they eliminate that person or that animal. Mm-hmm. But humans won't do that. A lot of them don't believe that killing someone who eliminates the preciousness of someone's life it just doesn't connect with me why an atheist all say that they don't believe in the death penalty.
So, Dan, do you mind if I?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So I think something that something that separates human beings from animals. You know, we're all mammals, but I think something that separates human beings from animals is the idea to have thoughts and feelings and to understand nuance and to understand that not everything is black and white, and we can also predict the thoughts and feelings of other human beings, whereas say monkeys or leopards or cats, they can't necessarily process what they think the thoughts of the other cat would be or what the other lion would be. I can look at Dan and I can say, he would probably be upset about this. He would probably be hurt about this. He would probably enjoy this thing. And that is something that is unique to human beings that animals can't do. And so when animals see one of them kill another one and then they kill the one that's killing everybody, what they're saying is, this animal is defective. It's eliminating members of our population. We're just going to get rid of it because it doesn't work for us. That's just a natural inclination. Human beings can say, sometimes people kill because they just want to kill. Sometimes people kill because they have brain damage. Sometimes people kill because of the environment in which they were raised. They have mental illness. There is such a wide variety of nuance when it comes to why people harm other human beings that humans look at it and say, we need to get to the bottom of what it was that caused this person to be this way. We need to get to the bottom of what it is that we can fix or what it is that we can study in order to change this. And the answer isn't always kill that human being. If we kill other human beings, that doesn't necessarily make us any better than the original murder that we are getting justice over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I mean, I would also say, first of all, there are atheists that think that the death penalty is fine. But to be an atheist doesn't require any ideological commitments. I think you're correct though in saying that if you were to survey the atheists in the United States, I think most of them would say that they don't agree with the death penalty. And I think that mostly stems from the idea of punitive justice versus rehabilitative justice. And there is a pretty broad consensus amongst atheists, at least in our community, that I believe in this idea of rehabilitative justice, that justice isn't meant to be sort of a punishing affair, but rather justice should instead be something that helps grow and change the people that are a part of the system. That if they aren't changing people and if they aren't doing things, then the system isn't working as it should be. Now, of course, not everybody feels that way, and there are folks that currently exist that we can't change. Right? We either lack the medical technology or it's just a matter of will. I mean, it's just how it is. And there are some of us that are okay with that we still support those people anyway, even if they're living in a prison population, because people feel that's the right thing to do. We don't always make our choices based off of pure economics, right? Of, oh, well, this person is a dredge on our society, so we need to cut them off, right? Like, that's just not how we always make decisions. And some would argue it's not the most humane way to make decisions either. You're going to get a variety of answers on this, but for me, it is because of this idea of rehabilitative justice, that causing someone to die for their actions doesn't make us necessarily the better for doing that, even if that person is a murderer, even if they are guilty of crimes that are heinous and should be rectified in some way. You know, it's not that we don't think that justice shouldn't occur. It's just we don't think that the death penalty is the most just action in that scenario. So,
and killing somebody doesn't solve the problem. It solves our need for justice and bloodlust. If we're killing somebody for killing somebody, we're just doing it because we feel upset about what they did. And the only way that we're going to stop feeling these difficult feelings are if we kill that person and we feel vindicated. But it doesn't actually do anything in terms of fixing the problem, changing the system, making any kind of positive change or development in any way. All it does is feed our need for, I feel better now because that person is gone. And that doesn't help anyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So there you go. I think we gave some pretty long answers there.
I understand what you're both saying.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Glad you do.
I just think that the more precious you consider your life, that this is it, this is all there is, and how precious it is, especially small children that are killed for no reason, no mental issue, just random murder of a child who's been robbed of the limited life we have here. If this is all there is, then someone needs to pay.
Yeah, listen, Howard, we're not saying that we don't. Listen, Howard, we don't say that no justice should happen to murderers.
Right.
We're just saying we shouldn't kill them. Because for exactly your point, life is precious. So taking away that murderer's life, we also believe is a kind of wrong in some way. At least those of us who believe in a rehabilitative justice system. That doesn't mean they shouldn't suffer consequences for their actions. We just don't think those consequences should involve the death penalty.
They should not be in the population with anyone else. And I might argue that I don't think there are many cases in which especially children are harmed for, quote, no good reason at all. I think if we study these people and we pay a lot of attention and we ask them questions and we deep dive into their background, there will be, even if unjustified, there will be a particular reason or thing or trauma or something that made that person do that action, even if it's just drugs, even if they were just out of their mind. And so we can't study these things and we can't fix these things if the only way we operate is eye for an eye. But again, not advocating for the rescue of people who murder children or anything like that. I don't think they belong in the population. I don't believe they should have the right to vote or anything like that. But I would argue that I would be hard pressed to find a scenario in which somebody was murdered by somebody who was completely normal and sane and had absolutely nothing wrong with them and just chose to murder one day for no reason, even if they don't recognize that something is wrong with them when they do it.
Okay, I appreciate both of your comments and your opinions. Thanks for
Howard,
taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I know.
Yeah, appreciate the call there and appreciate the conversation thereof. And you're gonna find, like, I already see some differences between my view and Sydney's view right there. Right, like there's nuances there, and we're not a unified political body. Much to the dismay of many of us. We don't always think the same way about it because we don't have, Christianity proclaims to have a unified moral system. That is, you should be able to all Christians should be able to make the same decisions if they follow the guidelines presented from the system. Obviously, that doesn't work in practice, but this is what Christianity says should work in practice. It doesn't work because Christians have a wide variety of death penalty sort of opinions, right? And atheists, obviously, maybe even wider opinion, because we're not having to cite biblical sources or historical examples, right? We can draw from even a wider sort of variety of sources in which to make our decisions on why we think something is right or wrong. So it becomes immensely more complicated. And you're going to see some differences there. But by and large, I think, especially in America, most of us don't support death penalty.
Right. And don't get me wrong. I absolutely have days where I hear something on the news and I'm like, get rid of that guy. Like, get him out of here. Yeah. But you also recognize sometimes, or at least in my opinion, you recognize sometimes that there will always be an innocent person who gets put to death if we allow death penalties to exist.
That is true as well.
And so even if it means keeping somebody alive that I think is garbage and deserves to be kicked headfirst into a fire pit, if that saves even one person from being innocently put to death because the ability to put them to death doesn't exist, I think that's worth it.